Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Is this the blue star where my lord once lived? A purely mortal world. The vast majority of humans are ordinary people. This world has not truly entered the extraordinary era, dominated by the power of technology. Just when Lin Yu was sighing with emotion, Victoria's spiritual consciousness had enveloped the entire Xingwu city. Everything within 100 miles was under her gaze. This is just a small trick. If she is willing, her thoughts can even cover the whole world in an instant, and no corner of the entire blue star can escape her perception. She could tell at a glance that blue star was still in the realm of technological civilization. The extraordinary power in this world is very weak. The main area of focus is technology. In the universe, there are various civilizations, such as extraordinary civilization, technological civilization, beast civilization, intelligent civilization, etc. Among them, extraordinary civilizations and technological civilizations have the largest number. The scale of the two civilizations accounts for at least 70% of the civilizations in the universe. This super hell soldier of the fallen angel camp and the hell battleship that Gladys once told were created by the 18-winged fallen archangel Astia, who combined the power of extraordinary civilization and technological civilization. Back then, when the angel clan swept across the universe and expelled the void demon clan from the real universe, they have also come into contact with and even destroyed many technological civilizations. In Victoria's eyes, Blue Star was considered the lowest level, whether it was a new extraordinary civilization or a long-developed technological civilization. An extraordinary civilization without gods. A technological civilization that doesn't even have interstellar battleships. It doesn't rank at all in the universe. Perhaps it's because Blue Star's location in the universe is too remote. Or maybe it's because the development time of Blue Star civilization is too short. Otherwise, a planet with a weak civilization like this would have been captured and enslaved by other civilizations long ago. All we can say is that Blue Star is very lucky. In fact, not long after Victoria arrived in the floating island world, Gladys privately revealed to Victoria that the humans on Blue Star disrespected the Supreme Creator and had no faith. When necessary, war can be launched to capture Blue Star, or destroyed directly. But after coming to Blue Star, Victoria felt that this was not necessary, because Blue Star's extraordinary resources are almost non-existent. There are no magic metals, no magic potions, and no various extraordinary items. Even the world rules of Blue Star are not fully developed and are in a state of chaos. What is the purpose of such world occupation? As for destroying, that's just looking for trouble for yourself. Blue Star is the place of rebirth of the Creator, who has lived here for nearly 20 years. Many intelligent beings place their precious emotions on their home planet. The same is true for the Supreme Creator, who is currently human beings. If she leads an army of fallen angels to destroy Blue Star, the Creator will definitely be furious and may even send her directly back to hell. Thinking of this, Victoria immediately gave up the idea of playing with Blue Star. Angelia, standing next to Lin Yu, looked as elegant and tranquil as ever. All her attention was on Lin Yu. Seeing Lin Yu looking at the familiar scenes around her with emotion, she said, "Don't worry, my lord. Even if we go to the battlefield of all realms in the future, we can come back at any time." Lin Yu nodded. The floating island is the transit station between the battlefield of all realms and Blue Star. It's not difficult to come back. If a time and space channel is arranged in Blue Star that leads directly to the battlefield of all realms, travel will be more convenient. For Lin Yu, Blue Star is a place to relax and soothe the inner world. At this moment, he could even feel the origin of more than 500 laws with different attributes in his body vibrating violently, allowing him to gain more insights out of thin air. The key is, for some reason, the power of creation in his body was also surging. This has never happened before. It seems that Blue Star has something that can connect with his creator. This is amazing. Afterwards, a group of 3 people walked out of the classroom. As soon as he came to the corridor, several figures rushed towards him like lightning. The leader is a middle-aged man who has reached the late extraordinary stage. Lin Yu recognized him. He is Dean Zhang of the Demonic Martial Arts Academy. Behind Dean Zhang were several king-level professionals, basically the top leaders of the college. The sexy and beautiful class teacher Su Yisu is also among them. Lin Yu. The moment I met Lin Yu, Su Yi's face showed a strong look of surprise. However, before she could react, there was a terrifying pressure that enveloped her and even Dean Zhang and the others next to her. Several people suddenly turned pale. The weakest one spurted out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards screaming. Saw this scene. Lin Yu's mouth suddenly twitched. He said to Victoria, who had a murderous look behind him, "Relax, this is Blue Star. These are the dean, and class tutor of our Magic Martial Arts Academy. My lord, forgive me." Victoria immediately withdrew her momentum and pressure. The pressure on my body disappeared. Su Yi, Dean Zhang, and others suddenly gasped for air. At that moment, they even felt as if they were about to be crushed into pieces by the invisible pressure. It's just horrible. As a late-stage extraordinary professional, Dean Zhang's strength is no longer weak in the entire Blue Star. After all, the highest-level Blue Star professional is only at the peak of the Saint level. Dean Zhang has also seen powerful men of the Saint class, faced directly with the pressure of the Holy class. But he can be sure that in the face of this pressure, the pressure of the Saint-level powerhouse can be said to be extremely weak, not on the same level at all. He didn't need to think about it to know that the owner of this coercion must be a terrifying demigod. At this moment, Dean Zhang and others looked at the two 12-winged angels standing behind Lin Yu with horrified eyes. An elegant and holy person, exuding bright holy light. An evil darkness with rich blood blooming around it. One thing they have in common is that they have 6 pairs of 12 angel wings behind their backs, 3 pairs of which are actual angel wings, and 3 pairs of which are dazzling light wings. In appearance, they are also flawlessly beautiful. Especially the holy angel, who descended into the mortal world like a holy goddess, untainted by any dust. It was before. They can't help but take a second look. But after what happened just now, they instantly lost the courage to look directly. The most important thing is that they still don't understand why they were coerced and frightened by the fallen angel. It was clear that they had not offended Lin Yu. Is it just to give them a blow? If so, that's too much fuss. After all, just the reputation of Paradise Kingdom in Blue Star made them dare not provoke Lin Yu. Here, Amelia Su seemed to react. She seemed to have guessed why the 12-winged fallen angel suddenly went berserk. Most likely it was because of what she called Lin Yu just now. Zhuang Tianrui and the other 2 people who returned from the floating island always respectfully addressed Lin Yu as Your Majesty. There are also Xiagua professionals who broke the news on Blue Star's professional forum. When facing Lin Yu, you can't call him by his first name, especially when there are angels. You can't do this. The angel clan regards Lin Yu as the great lord of holy light. Any disrespectful name is regarded as blasphemy against their lord of holy light. When she saw Lin Yu just now, Sui was so excited that she forgot about it for a while. Looking back now, I can't help but feel lucky. She was lucky to have Lin Yu here. If Lin Yu were not here, the 12-winged fallen angel who exuded a terrifying evil aura would probably kill them all directly. With the power of demigods, killing them can be said to be easy. In fact, Sui got the key point directly. It was precisely because of Lin Yu that Victoria kept a hand. This is the academy where the creator once studied. Naturally, she would not dare to kill people easily here. Therefore, she only released part of her aura and pressure. If it is completely released, Su Yi and Dean Zhang were stunned on the spot. Teacher Su, Dean Zhang. Lin Yu waved his right hand, and a holy white light appeared out of thin air, covering Su Yi and the others. This is the power of the law of life. Under the shroud of the law of life, the pale faces of Su Yi and others quickly dissipated, and their injured bodies returned to normal in the blink of an eye. The senior college official who fell to the ground spurting blood also recovered instantly. Judging from Lin Yu's current strength, if he wanted to be a nanny priest on the battlefield, he could easily save a large-scale army with one move. Sorry, everyone, Lin Yu said with a smile. The commander of the Victoria army under my command came to Blue Star for the first time. He is not familiar with this world, so he had a stress reaction. I hope all leaders will understand. It's okay, no problem. Dean Zhang acted very conceited and claimed that this was just a minor problem. Several other college senior officials also waved their hands and shook their heads. It seemed that he didn't take it to heart, but in fact, every face was twitching constantly. Even if they don't Han, what can they do? With such a huge gap in level and strength, even if they were given 100 courages, they would not dare to bear grudges against the captain of the Victoria Regiment. Just that moment ago, they almost went to see the King of Hell. How dare you experience it a second time? No wonder his strength is so terrifying. He turns out to be the commander of the angel army. If nothing else, the 12-winged holy angel next to him is also a legion commander, with terrifying power at the demigod level. I can't afford to offend such a powerful being. Several senior college officials thought to themselves. Forrest. At this time, Dean Zhang was just about to say something. Su Yi, who was standing aside, quickly interrupted and said to Lin Yu, "Your Majesty Lin Yu, we also know some information about 014965 Floating Island. First of all, on behalf of our Magic Martial Arts Academy, I congratulate you on becoming the owner of the island. Secondly, congratulations to you. The Kingdom of Heaven has won the national war. You have created a milestone for our Blue Star to enter the extraordinary era. Thank you, Teacher Su." Lin Yu smiled and then said, "Teacher Su, you can just call me by my name. After all, this is Blue Star, and I am your student." Sui glanced at the two 12-winged angels behind Lin Yu and hesitated. "Isn't this not good?" "Okay." Lin Yu smiled and nodded. Sui blinked her beautiful eyes and said, "Then shall I call you classmate Lin?" Lin Yu nodded again. "This title is at least better than Your Majesty Lin Yu. As he said just now, this is Blue Star after all, not a floating island." Afterwards, Dean Zhang and other college senior officials invited Lin Yu and the others into the college's VIP living room. The attitude was extremely respectful. The trick Victoria showed just now allowed them to fully understand the class system of the extraordinary world. At the same time, Dean Zhang also understood why Su Yi interrupted him. If he shouted Lin Yu again, he might be killed directly by the 12-winged fallen angel. Su Yi was reminding him and saving him. For this, Dean Zhang is very grateful and fortunate. He said to Lin Yu with a bright smile, "Classmate Lin created the history of our Xia Kingdom in the extraordinary era and also benefited tens of millions of Xia Kingdom professionals. Moreover, classmate Lin's army also wiped out countless professionals from exotic countries such as Sakura Country and Bangzi Country on 018439 Floating Island. In the hearts of more than 1 billion people in Xia Kingdom, classmate Lin is the hero of the new era. The dean is so complimentary." Lin Yu said with a smile, "I just followed the trend and did what I should do. I can't be called a hero." "Well deserved," Dean Zhang said with a smile. "Not only in our Xia Kingdom, but also in the entire Blue Star, classmate Lin has an astonishing number of admirers. Especially the Western Christians who live in various countries of Blue Star respect classmate Lin extremely. They even regard Mr. Lin as God." "Western Christians?" Lin Yu's eyebrows were raised slightly. "Good," Dean Zhang said. "According to incomplete statistics, there are about 2.7 billion Westerners in the world. Now, all of them have become your fanatical admirers. I was joking with an old friend of mine. If Mr. Lin wants to conquer Blue Star, he doesn't need to use the angel army and the hundreds of millions of kingdom troops. It's enough to just rely on the more than 2 billion Westerners. There are 2.7 billion Western Christians, accounting for 1/3 of the total population of Blue Star. With this terrifyingly large army of Western Christians, Lin Yu can indeed sweep across the entire Blue Star. This is indeed a joke," Lin Yu said with a faint smile. "Without special circumstances, I probably won't start a war on Blue Star. After all, Blue Star is my home planet, and I don't want to see this planet disappear into the universe." Hear this. The expressions of Dean Zhang and other senior college officials suddenly became serious. Because there is something in Lin Yu's words. For example, special circumstances should, home planet, disappear in the universe. On the other hand, if special circumstances arise, Lin Yu will not rule out the possibility of launching a war on Blue Star. Once the war starts, Blue Star will likely be destroyed. If it were someone else who said such things, Dean Zhang and others would definitely think that the other person was a lunatic. But the person who said this was Lin Yu. They dare not think so. They didn't even think that Lin Yu was talking wildly, because they couldn't fathom how powerful the demigods were. It is said that there are hundreds of demigods in the Paradise Kingdom. In addition, Lin Yu also has a large number of war weapons City of Angels under his command. To Blue Star Civilization, those City of Angels under Lin Yu are just interstellar battleships from advanced civilizations. Even if Blue Star is to be destroyed, it is not impossible. Dean Zhang said quickly, I believe that Mr. Lin is a ruler of the kingdom with positive energy. I pray that such a thing will never happen. This is also my wish. Lin Yu responded with a faint smile. Then, Dean Zhang changed the topic and asked, how long will Mr. Lin plan to stay in Blue Star before returning to the floating island world? Lin Yu said, it won't be long. Dean Zhang said, I heard that the 014965 floating island controlled by Mr. Lin has the qualification to communicate with the battlefield of all realms. Is Mr. Lin ready to enter the battlefield of all realms in the near future? Before he finished speaking, Dean Zhang quickly added another sentence. If this is the strategic plan of the Kingdom of Heaven, just pretend I didn't ask. This is not a secret that needs to be kept. Lin Yu waved his hand and said, after I return to the floating island, my angel army will go to the battlefield of all realms. Hearing this, Dean Zhang felt happy. Then he quickly said, do you have any ideas about developing 014965 floating island, classmate Lin? If so, as long as you ask, our Magic Martial Arts Academy will do our best to support you. The Magic Martial Arts Academy General Assembly includes the Magic Martial Arts Academy in all cities in Xia Kingdom. The power is still very huge. Although it is not comparable to the state machinery, it far surpasses those chambers of commerce. Of course, there is no love without reason in the world. There is no selfless dedication. While supporting Lin Yu in developing the floating island, the Magic Martial Arts Academy Association will also receive huge returns. Just planting spiritual rice on the floating island is enough for the Magic Martial Arts Academy to always make a lot of money. As for Dean Zhang's proposal, Lin Yu did not reject it, let alone agree. Wait until I think about it. Developing floating islands is a good thing. It can quickly improve the overall power of the floating island civilization and the Blue Star civilization. But Lin Yu did not immediately decide to cooperate with the Magic Martial Arts Academy Association. After all, he can develop it himself. At this moment, a group of people suddenly opened the door and poured into the living room. All are professionals. The leader is a young man, but he has the rank of a saint. His eyes immediately glanced at Angelia and Victoria standing behind Lin Yu, shining brightly. Finally, it fell on Lin Yu, and he extended his hand to Lin Yu very enthusiastically. Mr. Lin, I am the president of the Xia Kingdom branch of the Creation Church. It is my honor to meet you. The young man's name was Puqiu, strong and high status. It also has great influence in Xia Kingdom and even Blue Star. At this moment, facing Lin Yu, he was very enthusiastic. He even reached out his hand to shake hands with Lin Yu. However, Lin Yu did not give him face. A professional of the Holy Order level, coupled with a so-called Creation Church branch president in Xia Kingdom, is not worthy of him standing up to welcome. You know, when he met with the Supreme God, the goddess of nature and elves, he was always sitting on the throne. A holy-level professional, why? The most important is, he had no good impression of Puqiu. They were talking in the living room, but this guy pushed the door open without even knocking. It was really rude. At the same time, it can also be seen, there's something arrogant about this guy. Because anyone who is a little more humble will also understand what basic etiquette is. If Lin Yu wasn't here, he might even just kick in the door. This is no exaggeration. Lin Yu could see through this young man at the first glance. In addition, he actually dared to look at Secretary N and Victoria with his evil eyes. He was really seeking death. Probably because of his strong strength and high status, he is used to dominating in Blue Star and Xia Kingdom. Leaving aside Lin Yu and the strong men under his command, the most powerful professionals in Blue Star are only at the saint level. If someone named Pu can reach this level, he can be regarded as standing at the pinnacle of Blue Star. If you want wind, you will get wind. If you want rain, you will get rain. It is normal for things not to correct for a while. Seeing that Lin Yu didn't get up, Puccio immediately retracted his hand in embarrassment. It could be faintly seen that there was a hint of anger deep in his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. Because no matter how arrogant he is, he still understands what he is facing. That was a powerful demigod that he could look up to. Naturally, he didn't dare to show his anger. On the contrary, he had to put on an enthusiastic expression with a bright smile on his slightly handsome face. Just at this time, Dean Zhang, who had been silent until now, suddenly said, "President Pu's news is really well informed. Classmate Lin has just returned to Blue Star, and your creation church knows about it." Puccio smiled and said, "Isn't this a normal thing? Looking at Xia Kingdom and even the entire Blue Star, where is there no one from my creation church? Even in your demonic martial arts academy, there are high-level officials who are members of our creation church." Dean Zhang suddenly became angry. He wanted to be angry with Puccio, but he could not refute Puccio's words. Because what Puccio said is true. In fact, Creation Church was born many years ago. There are members of the Church of Creation in every country around the world, and their power and influence are astonishing. Originally, the scale of Creation Church was not very large. But after the arrival of All World's floating island, Creation Church's rate of absorbing believers increased dramatically. They use various miracles to inform believers that God not only really exists, but has also come to Blue Star to protect the believers of the Creation Church. With this method, Creation Church has attracted a large number of believers in just 1 year. There are even members of other sects who have joined the Church of Creation. For example, those Westerners who worship and believe in God. Dean Zhang, your demonic martial arts academy cannot afford 014965 floating island. Looking at the entire Blue Star, only our creation church has such strength. Puccio glanced at the furious Dean Zhang with a hint of contempt and finally landed on Lin Yu, showing a bright smile again. "Mr. Lin, you don't have to doubt the power of our creation church. As long as you are willing to hand over 014965 floating island to us for development, our creation church will definitely be able to give you a very satisfactory answer." Lin Yu said calmly, "Let's not talk about the development of the floating island. I am very interested in your creation church. Can you introduce it to me?" "Of course, it's my pleasure," Puccio said enthusiastically. "The temple of our creation church is in the beautiful country, and the members of the church come from all over the world. The total number has exceeded 2 billion. Among them, there are ordinary people, professionals, high-level officials of the country, and even members of other churches. In addition, there are many members in our church who are Westerners. Mr. Lin has just returned to Blue Star. Perhaps you don't know that those Western Christians worship you as God. In other words, we can be considered half of our own people." "Yeah." Lin Yu smiled and asked, "Which God does your creation church believe in?" Puccio said without hesitation, "Nature is the God of creation." Hear this. Lin Yu couldn't help but look Puccio up and down with a strange expression. Puccio asked in confusion, "Mr. Lin, what's wrong?" Lin Yu said with a smile, "I want to say that we are indeed our own people. My priesthood is the Lord of Holy Light, Creator and God of creation. I created all things in the universe. I didn't expect that all of you creationists are still my followers." Puccio, hear Lin Yu's words. Puccio was stunned on the spot. He is obviously here to discuss cooperation and develop 014965 floating island together. As a result, Lin Yu actually came up with the idea of creating a church. "I want to eat the creation church in one bite. This appetite is too big." Their original intention in establishing the church was to cultivate their own gods. "It's not for serving others," Puccio said quickly. "Mr. Lin, you misunderstood. The God of creation our church believes in is not you, but another God of creation." "Another God of creation?" "Yes." Puccio nodded seriously. He does not want Lin Yu to become the God of creation of the creation church. Because in that case, the relationship between creation church and heavenly kingdom is not a cooperative relationship, but a subordinate relationship. Even he has to act based on Lin Yu's face. This is not what he wants. He also wants to cooperate with Paradise Kingdom to develop the 014965 floating island, so as to obtain huge profits and pave the way for him to be promoted to a demigod or even become an eternal true god. Pity. The smile on Lin Yu's face gradually faded. Puccio also saw Lin Yu's unhappiness. However, he didn't care and said with a smile, I heard that Mr. Lin has hundreds of millions of believers in the floating island world, and there are also a large number of Western believers worshipping you on Blue Star. Come to think of it, Mr. Lin also doesn't lack the faith that we creationists have in you. Lin Yu ignored Puccio. Instead, he turned to look at Victoria standing behind him and said, What is this called? Victoria said in a cold voice, The heresy that blasphemes the Supreme Creator. The believers of the Church of Creation just don't believe in the Supreme Creator of their angel race, but they don't know where to find a God of creation. This is a provocation to the ministry of the Supreme Creator. Blasphemy the majesty of the Creator. Should be killed. Lin Yu nodded slightly and agreed. It is indeed a heresy, and it is an unforgivable heresy. As soon as he finished speaking, Victoria took action. With his right hand, he grabbed Puccio and the professionals behind him in the air. Suddenly, countless bloody lights poked out from the void. They were tied up like chains in Puccio. Just now, when Victoria said that heresy that blasphemes the Supreme Creator, Puccio instinctively felt that something was wrong. But before he could open his mouth to defend himself, Lin Yu has already taken action as soon as he said it. He reflexively wanted to escape, but found that the surrounding space had been imprisoned. He immediately released his holy realm, but as soon as the realm was released, it was cut into pieces by the bloody light, causing severe injuries and vomiting blood on the spot. The strength gap between Puccio and Victoria was so huge that they were not on the same level at all. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as a weak ant. I really don't know what gave Puccio the courage to come in uninvited and want to shake hands with Lin Yu. What makes him dare to claim in front of two 18-winged archangels that the Church of Creation believes in another God of creation in the universe? No matter whether this God of creation is a fabrication or not. Just thinking about it doesn't work. Because in the hearts of the angel family, the great Lord of Holy Light is the only creator of everything in the universe. However, Puccio created another God of creation, trying to be on an equal footing with the great Lord of Holy Light. Isn't this seeking death? Even if Lin Yu said he didn't care, Victoria and Secretary and would purify Puccio. The angel family allows the existence of various religious gods and so-called intelligent race founders in the universe, but does not allow the existence of other universe creators. Not to mention other intelligent races. Even the Titans, who are famous in the battlefield of all realms, will not claim that their founder, the Titans, created the universe in front of the angel clan. At most, it can only be said that the Titans created countless intelligent races and countless worlds. If it were said that the Titans created the universe, the angel family would have turned against them on the spot. Can only say, Puccio is brave enough. The Church of Creation, behind him, is also brave enough. Wait, don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Puccio was entangled with countless blood threads, and blood had been cut out of his skin. His expression was extremely horrified. I regretted it so much that I shouldn't have been here at all. At this moment, he truly understands what it means to die if you say the wrong thing when facing the angel clan. This sentence actually comes from the Xia Kingdom professionals who returned from the floating island. Puccio also collected a lot of information about the Heaven Kingdom before coming here, and knew that the angel clan did not like others to be disrespectful to their Lord of Holy Light. Therefore, he greeted us with a smile and a warm greeting. But he never expected that he would end up dead because of one sentence. How did he know that the angel clan was so domineering? No other gods of creation are allowed to appear, even if they are fabricated out of thin air. Mr. Lin, His Majesty Lin Yu. As long as you let me go, I'll do whatever you want. At this moment, Puccio's expression was distorted, his face was pale, and his body was dripping with blood. How could he still have the proud posture of pushing the door in before? However, his pleas for mercy were meaningless, accompanied by splashes of blood. Puccio's body was instantly cut into countless pieces by the tightening bloodlines. The same goes for the professionals behind him. If Victoria takes action, there will naturally be no survivors left. Dazzling blood mixed with countless broken flesh and blood spattered in the living room. It was an extremely bloody picture. In an instant, the entire living room was filled with the pungent smell of blood. Su Yi, Dean Zhang, and other senior college officials sitting on the other side had pale faces and widened eyes, as if they had seen a ghost. Although they are also professionals, but I have never seen such a bloody scene. The most important thing is that Puccio is still a strong man at the saint level, standing at the top of the Blue Star world. But now it's time to die, and he died so miserably. The less courageous college seniors almost fainted on the spot. Others were also trembling, because they didn't know if the 12-winged fallen angel under Lin Yu would go crazy and kill them too. Su Yi also turned her attention to Lin Yu, who had a calm face. Before the arrival of Myriad World's floating island, she was the class teacher and taught Lin Yu's class for 2 or 3 years. After becoming a professional, she worked as a class teacher sporadically for a few months. Sui thinks she knows Lin Yu very well, but now she couldn't see through it. This student has become completely different from the student she used to be. Victoria sighed. She stretched out her hand and grasped it in the air, and the gray figures floating up from the broken corpses instantly disintegrated and turned into streams of pure souls that were swallowed by her. She simultaneously obtained the memory fragments of Puccio and those professionals. "My lord," Victoria said to Lin Yu with great respect, "what the heretic said is true. The creation church is indeed as powerful as he said. However, their so-called God of creation does not exist. It is just an imaginary way to deceive believers. All kinds of miracles are also fake. In addition, there seems to be an extremely evil creature hiding in the headquarters of the Church of Creation. It was brought back from a floating island by a believer half a year ago. Based on the heretic's memory, I speculate that this evil creature should be a remaining demon from the Holy Demon War. It is lucky to be alive until now." Demon. Lin Yu's eyes lit up. Until now, he has never seen what the devil looks like. He has not even seen the legendary devil that exists at night. He suspects that the Goblin's Age is deceiving him. There is no devil in the world, it is just a rumor. Now, I heard that Blue Star actually hides a demon. Lin Yu was immediately overjoyed. "Yes, my lord." Victoria nodded respectfully. Originally, she reflexively wanted to ask for orders to capture the demon to the Supreme Creator. But in an instant, she stopped. If you are bitten by a snake in one move, you will be afraid of ropes for 10 years. If she goes out to work hard, and the Supreme Creator takes Angelia to enjoy the scenery of the world, then where can she go to reason? Moreover, Blue Star is the mother planet after the Creator's rebirth. If they can stay with the Creator and leave important and precious memories in Blue Star, it will be very beneficial for the Creator to favor their fallen angel camp in the future. Therefore, she must never run out to catch some demon alone again. She doesn't even care about demon ancestor. Just at this time, Angelia, who was standing quietly next to Lin Yu, suddenly said, "My lord, if there is really a demon hiding in Blue Star, it is best to get rid of it. Otherwise, once its demonic power spreads, it will cause countless Blue Star humans to become demonized and become its demon slaves." Lin Yu nodded. He had the same idea as Angelia. Even if the demon is not killed, it must be sealed and brought to the floating island to be raised. Angelia added, "Devils are an extremely evil race from another universe. Even gods may be bewitched by the power of demons. There were even titans that were corrupted by the power of demons and turned into dark titans. However, fallen angels are not afraid. The power of the fallen angels they created by combining the power of evil, darkness, and the power of the underworld is no less evil than the power of the devil's abyss. So, my lord might as well send a fallen angel to capture that demon." Hear this. Victoria's face turned green. Although Angelia did not mention her by name, anyone with a discerning eye would know that she was being mentioned. After all, she was the only fallen angel present. Victoria quickly said, "My lord, as the most holy sacred creatures, the holy angels are also not afraid of the abyssal power of the void demon. Indeed, my family of holy angels are not afraid of all evil forces. Angelia nodded slightly and said to Lin Yu, My lord, I request to go to the headquarters of the Creation Church to purify that evil demon. Hearing this, Victoria felt happy. Once Angelia leaves, won't she be able to be alone with the Supreme Creator? Praise Angie. However, after Lin Yu thought for a moment, he turned to Victoria and said, Victoria, you better go. You are a fallen angel, and it is not easy to alert others. In addition, I need you to clean up the top management of the Creation Church. Let them understand one thing. There is no second god of creation in all worlds. Victoria's expression was stunned. After coming back to his senses, he respectfully obeyed the order. Obey, Supreme Creator. Although her heart was painful, she did not dare to reject the Creator's oracle. Immediately, she tore through the void and headed to the beautiful country on the other side of the blue star. It wasn't until afterwards that she suddenly figured out something. That means she was fooled again. The sinister Angelia tricked her again. In fact, Angelia didn't mean to trick Victoria. After all, it was just a little devil. To put it more seriously, even if the demon ancestor comes, it will not threaten Victoria. With the strength of these 18-winged archangels, it is even easier to control a little devil. Angelia didn't want to do it herself. Going all the way to the other side of the world to catch a little devil was not what she wanted. What she prefers to do is serve beside the great Lord of Holy Light. Therefore, she could only trick Victoria into doing hard work. Here, Lin Yu waved his right hand. The broken flesh and blood scattered on the ground disappeared. By the way, the air in the living room was also purified by the holy light, and there was no longer any smell of blood. Okay, the rest of the gang has been dealt with. Lin Yu turned to look at Dean Zhang and others, and said with a smile, Dean Zhang, where did we talk just now? Dean Zhang's face twitched, and he said with a dry smile, We talked about cooperation in developing floating islands. Lin Yu nodded slightly, and said in a slightly cold tone, I will consider this proposal carefully. If there is nothing else, I will leave first. Okay. Dean Zhang stood up hurriedly. He was still in a state of panic. I wish Lin Yu could leave quickly. As for the development of 014965 Floating Island, he was not prepared to mention it again. If you want to mention it, you also need someone from the ManhwaRecap Academy General Assembly or directly the official to come and talk to Lin Yu. The scene just now had completely frightened him. A strong man of the Holy Order, a group of professionals who were at least king level, turned into a pile of fragments in the blink of an eye, and even his soul was swallowed by the 12-winged fallen angel. How terrifying is this? At least for him as an extraordinary professional, it is very scary. He secretly decided to go home on vacation. He was not prepared to appear in front of Lin Yu before Lin Yu went to the floating island. What if he was kicked out by Lin Yu's angels because of what he said wrongly? There would be no place for him to cry. Teacher Sui, can you please send Lin, classmate Lin, and this Lord Angel away? Okay, Dean. Amelia Su nodded. Compared with the fear of Dean Zhang and others, she was not so scared. He stood up and followed Lin Yu and Angelia out of the VIP living room. It wasn't until Lin Yu and Angelia disappeared at the end of the college playground that Dean Zhang and others who stayed in the living room breathed a long sigh of relief. Dean, this Lin Yu is too scary. Killing people without blinking an eye. That was a saint-level powerhouse who controlled the power of the domain. Looking at our entire Xia kingdom, there are only a few of them. However, in front of Lin Yu, he was killed instantly like a little chicken. Originally, I still had a sense of superiority as a veteran professional. But it wasn't until the scene happened that I realized how ridiculous my sense of superiority was. I have witnessed the cruelty of the extraordinary world with my own eyes. The senior officials of the college spoke one after another. In the supernatural world, strength is king. King-level professionals and extraordinary professionals like them can be called superiors when they return to Blue Star. Gold, power, beauty, endless enjoyment. But now, a saint-level professional who was more powerful than them was killed in front of them. There was not a trace of resistance throughout the whole process. It's like killing a chicken with a knife. It's extremely easy. The scene just now refreshed their understanding of the power system of the extraordinary world. Let them understand that this is the real power. And in the face of this level of power, the capital they were proud of before is simply as ridiculous as it is. Every time they thought of the scene of Puccio being cut into pieces, they felt chills running down their bodies, and even their souls couldn't help but tremble. Like Dean Zhang, they also want to stay away from Lin Yu. Sitting next to a big shot of this level who kills without batting an eyelid, the feeling is as unbearable as being tortured. The most fundamental problem is that there is no sense of security. It seems like reimbursement is possible at any time. Dean Zhang pretended to be calm and said, "Relax, Lin Yu is also a student of our college after all. No matter how crazy he is, he will not attack us." "Really, Dean?" A senior college official whispered. "It seems that before Puccio appeared, we were almost crushed to pieces by the pressure of the 12-winged fallen angel." Dean Zhang's mouth suddenly twitched. Then he glared at the senior college official again and said, "You have no future at all. Get out of here. Remember, don't go back to the college during this time." "Okay, Dean. Dean, do you want to rest for a while?" Dean Zhang said angrily. "Why rest? I have some things to think about." "All right." The senior officials of the college looked at each other and then helped each other out of the VIP living room. After they left, Dean Zhang quickly rubbed his legs. Even as an extraordinary level professional, he was still hopeless and his legs became weak due to fear. Lin Yu is obviously not a little cabbage who will be manipulated at will. If nothing else happens, someone in Blue Star is going to be in bad luck. Passing through Puccio, Dean Zhang has already seen that Lin Yu is not a young man who can be manipulated. Once he hits Lin Yu's gun, he will really kill without blinking an eye. For example, Puccio. For example, the Creation Church. Dean Zhang could imagine with his toes that the leader of the 12-winged fallen angel army, named Victoria, would definitely go on a killing spree after going to the Church of Creation, headquarters in beautiful country. Otherwise, how could she be called a fallen angel? He has an evil aura that is as terrifying as he wants to be. The most important is, it was Lin Yu's idea to send Victoria there. Obviously, it is Lin Yu's original intention to clean up the Genesis Church. In this wave of cleansing, there is no telling how many people will die at the hands of the 12-winged fallen angel. It can be seen that Lin Yu is by no means a soft-hearted person. We should have thought of this. Lin Yu was able to send an army of angels to invade 018439 Floating Island and slaughter hundreds of millions of creatures. He also allowed the Xia Kingdom professionals under his command to kill more than 10 million foreign professionals. Is this something that ordinary people can do? Dean Zhang suddenly felt very lucky. He was glad that he was not as arrogant as Puccio, nor did he show off his identity as the dean of the demonic martial arts academy in front of Lin Yu. Otherwise, his body had long since gone cold, and this attitude directly allowed him to save his life. Anyway, Lin Yu has left the academy. With his current strength and status, he probably won't come back. Thinking of this, Dean Zhang's face suddenly showed a bright smile. It felt like sending away the god of plague. If Lin Yu were to know Dean Zhang's thoughts, he would definitely sit down and have a good chat with Dean Zhang. And just when Dean Zhang was about to leave the living room, a figure suddenly appeared out of thin air, like a ghost. "Where's Lin Yu?" Looking at the visitor, Dean Zhang was silent for a moment. Then he said with a hint of complaint, "City Lord Zhou, your speed is too slow. Everyone in the Creation Church is one step ahead of you." City Lord Zhou, the highest executive officer of Xingwu City, belongs to the official power of Xia Kingdom. Half of the backstage of the Magic Martial Arts Academy Association comes from the government. In other words, the Magic Martial Arts Academy will always be considered one of its own as well as the official. Relatively speaking, Creation Church is a pure outsider, not welcomed by the official and the General Assembly of the Magic Martial Arts Academy. If it weren't for the fact that the power of the Church of Creation was deeply entrenched in the Xia Kingdom and had great influence all over the world, the Xia Kingdom would have uprooted the Church of the Creation long ago. City Lord Zhou is a slightly older man, wearing a retro black robe. Overall, it looks very energetic. This is directly related to the fact that he is a powerful professional. With the help of extraordinary power, the elderly city lord regained his second youth. Dean Zhang informed that Lin Yu had left the college. Hearing this, City Lord Zhou suddenly said with some embarrassment, "Unfortunately, something delayed me, so I came a little late." After a pause, he asked, "Did you just say that people from the Creation Church are here? Where are they now? Did they go with Lin Yu?" "The people from the Creation Church have not left," Dean Zhang said. "They are in this room." Inside the room? City Lord Zhou looked puzzled. He had just confirmed that Dean Zhang was the only one in the living room. No professional hides. Dean Zhang nodded and said, "The team leader is Pu Qiu, and you know him too. He accidentally provoked Lin Yu, and the group of professionals who were with him were cut into countless pieces. Their scent lingers throughout the room." City Lord Zhou was immediately speechless. Of course he knew Pu Qiu, and he had never dealt with him. He didn't expect that the last news he got about Pu Qiu was that his opponent had been defeated. This surprised him. "All I can say is, it's great. I have long disliked that boy named Pu. If it weren't for the overall situation, would I still be able to keep him till now?" Dean Zhang hesitated for a moment and asked, "Are you sure it's not because you can't beat Pu Qiu?" City Lord Zhou is at the late extraordinary level, the same as him. But Pu Qiu was a strong man of the holy rank. The strength of the two is not at the same level. "Don't talk about this." City Lord Zhou waved his hand. "Tell me what happened before I came here." Dean Zhang said, "You'd better see for yourself." After speaking, Dean Zhang took City Master Zhou to the college's monitoring room. After watching the surveillance replay of the VIP living room, City Lord Zhou's expression also changed. His face was indifferent from the very beginning. His expression became distorted, and finally his legs trembled. What a terrifying power! Pu Qiu, who is at the holy level, can't resist even one move. "Normal," Dean Zhang said. "The two 12-winged angels following Lin Yu are most likely strong men at the demigod level. In addition, Lin Yu also has the demigod level. The three of them are enough to sweep everything. Looking at all the extraordinary organizations in Blue Star, none of them can resist. The most important thing is that Lin Yu, as the owner of 014965 Floating Island, can teleport the army on the island at any time. You can't afford to mess with this kind of person. I don't even dare to meet him anymore." Hearing this, City Lord Zhou twitched his face and said, "I have an order from above. I have to go find him and have a good chat." Dean Zhang suddenly looked sympathetic. "I wish you good luck." City Lord Zhou. After watching the surveillance replay, City Master Zhou also felt a little guilty. "I dare not go to see Lin Yu alone." He planned to wait for the general-level dignitaries sent by the superiors to arrive in Xingwu City and then accompany him there. With the speed of air and space fighter planes, it can be reached very quickly. He was in no hurry. On the other side, Lin Yu and the other three walked to a commercial street in the city. This is the most prosperous place in the entire Xingwu City. Can meet anyone's shopping needs. Lin Yu is going to purchase some supplies and bring them to the battlefield of all realms, especially the food. On the floating island, his life can be said to be the best among all professionals, with angels, elves, and saints serving him 3 meals a day. But Lin Yu is really tired of the food on the floating island. Even if you eat a meal of porridge and mustard, it will be more delicious than barbecue. Along the way, the return rate of Lin Yu and the three of them can be said to be 8,000%. Handsome men and beautiful women are the most able to attract the attention of others. However, under the background of Angelia, Lin Yu, who has a handsome face, and Su Yi, who has a sexy figure and extremely beautiful appearance, instantly lost their color. Secretary An's beauty cannot be described in words. The most important thing is that she is walking on the street like an angel. The 12 angel wings behind her are all emitting dazzling divine light, and she is enveloped in holy light. Make her look like a goddess who descended into the mortal world. In fact, even the goddess of the battlefield of all realms cannot compare with the elegance and beauty of Secretarian. The founder of the nature elves, the goddess of nature and elves, is beautiful enough. It can make heaven and earth eclipse, and the sun and moon have no light. But compared to Angelia, the goddess of nature and elves are still a little worse. When their eyes fell on Angelia, the expressions of all passers-by were stunned. The noisy sound of the commercial street also disappeared instantly. It became dead silent. Secretary, and at this moment, is the center of the world. Everything around her seemed to be spinning around her, including those dull eyes. However, no one came forward to strike up a conversation, because the aura emanating from Angelia's body had already rejected anyone's approach. This kind of atmosphere is noble and indifferent. It will make people retreat instinctively and not dare to do anything to blaspheme the goddess. Su-yi on the side said with twitching lips, "This is the first time I have been surrounded by so many people while shopping." The dense crowd moved with the three of them. The surrounding area has long been blocked. Only in the direction Lin Yu and the others were heading, there was a broad and straight avenue. No one stood in their way. All passers-by automatically gave way to them. Lin Yu didn't think it was anything. To him, this is all a small scene. When he was in the holy city, he was watched with fanatical eyes by tens of millions of angels. And every time you take a walk in the city, there are millions of believers kneeling nearby. How many people are there around here? It's less than 10,000 at all costs. In his opinion, it was just trivial and could not shake his peaceful inner world at all. Used to it, Lin Yu said with a calm expression. After walking some distance, a magical scene appeared. On both sides of the avenue, people were kneeling on the ground one after another. Their expressions were extremely pious. And the person they knelt down to was naturally Angelia. According to myths and legends, angels are God's messengers walking in the mortal world. Most of these kneelers are Western Christians who believe in God. Yes, there are Western Christians in Xia Kingdom. I have to admit that Western religion is the church with the largest number of believers in the entire Blue Star. They are everywhere. If these kneeling Westerners knew that Lin Yu, who was walking at the front, was the God they had always worshipped, they might be even more crazy. Let's go? Go into the mall and take a look. Lin Yu ignored the Westerners who were kneeling on their knees. Continues his shopping trip. Along the way, he has purchased a large amount of supplies, purchasing them in batches. With the space artifact that he carries with him, he doesn't have to worry about not being able to take the things he bought with him. As for the money he spent, he didn't have to worry about it. Just swipe the card of class teacher Su. Anyway, Supervisor Su said that Lin Yu should spend as much as she wanted, and everything would be reimbursed by the college. Therefore, Lin Yu was not polite. I don't know how long I've been shopping. Lin Yu was finally satisfied. Just when he was about to leave the commercial street with Angelia and Su-yi, he seemed to sense something. Look up to the distant sky. In the clouds, several small black spots are approaching from far away. The flying speed is incredible. They were 5 silver-gray fighter jets. Judging from the model, they should be Xia's most advanced air and space fighters. It is said that this kind of fighter can fight directly in outer space. Not long after, 5 air and space fighter planes flew into the sky and then hovered very abruptly. Immediately afterwards, a group of figures flew out of the aerial fighter plane. 3 holy levels, 5 extraordinary ones. It seems that half of the saint-level experts in Xia Kingdom are here. Just as Lin Yu finished speaking, Su-yi on the side suddenly whispered, "That's General Li. It is said that his profession is a knight, and he is very lucky to contract a pure dragon as his riding pet." Throughout the entire Blue Star, General Li is one of the most powerful people. Regarding Su-yi's shock, Lin Yu did not express any opinion. He would not tell Su-yi that there were nearly 1,000,000 dragons in his paradise kingdom. As long as Lin Yu is willing, he can train hundreds of thousands of dragon knights in a short time. Coupled with the dragon arms buildings located in the holy city, a huge number of dragon arms can be bred every day, and it is easy for him to cultivate an army of 1,000,000 dragon knights. In addition, Lin Yu is also a dragon knight himself. His riding pets, the fairy dragon and the smoke dragon, are all at the demigod level. Especially the smoke dragon, not only has its level reached the level of a demigod, but it is also a special dragon species with extremely powerful combat power. Now, the fairy dragon and the smoke dragon did not follow Lin Yu to Blue Star. Instead, he stayed in the spiritual field space of the sacred city and broke through to the realm of true God. Once successful, they can be promoted to God-level dragons. At that time, Lin Yu can call himself the Dragon God Knight, and his level is much higher than that of ordinary dragon knights. So when he heard that General Li was a dragon knight, Lin Yu was not as shocked as Su Yi and kept a calm face from beginning to end. He is no longer the newbie who just entered the floating island. Him now, standing at the pinnacle of the mortal world. It can even be said that it overlooks everything in the mortal world. After a while, a group of figures descended from the sky. The leader is an old man in military uniform, whose level has reached the peak of the holy level. Just go one step further and master the power of the law. He can then step into the demigod level. In terms of strength, he is much stronger than Puccio, who was cut into pieces by Victoria. And he is General Li, whom Su Yi admires so much. The group of people following General Li all had strong auras and capable temperaments, and their postures were as straight as swords and as vigorous as cypresses. It can be seen that they are not ordinary people. They should all have official or even military backgrounds. Coming closer, General Li first glanced at Angelia with a surprised look. This is his first time seeing the legendary angel, and he is also a 12-winged angel. Then, General Li's eyes fell on Lin Yu again, and he said with a kind smile, "Let me introduce myself. My surname is Li, and I am currently a general in charge of the affairs of the floating island in the Xia Kingdom. You call me General Li. Laoli can do it. What should I call my little friend?" During this period, Xiagua officials also compiled all the information about Lin Yu and the Kingdom of Heaven that professionals had revealed. They even secretly recruited many professionals from Xia State to inquire. While gaining a lot, I also learned a lot of taboos. One of the taboos is that it is best not to call Lin Yu by name in front of the angel. Lin Yu obtained the identity or personality of the Lord of Holy Light of the Angel clan. Calling Lin Yu by his first name is the greatest disrespect. The angel family has always been ruthless against those who disrespect the Lord of Holy Light. Not only the body must be removed, but the soul must also be purified. Before the Kingdom of Heaven was established, there were many professionals in the dark forest who were killed by angels because they did not know this taboo. As the official representative of the Xia Kingdom, General Li will naturally pay attention to this issue. In fact, before he came, Xia State officials have already discussed Lin Yu's title issue. Some senior officials expressed that they could use the title, Your Majesty, to address Lin Yu just like those Xia Kingdom professionals who joined Paradise Kingdom. In this way, there will definitely be no problems. But some senior officials expressed opposition, because Lin Yu is from Xia State. Once such a title is used, it means that Xia State officials regard Lin Yu as a foreign ruler, which directly distances the relationship between Xia State and Lin Yu. This is definitely not possible either. In the end, discussions went on, but no final result was reached. General Li called Lin Yu little friend, based on the age of both parties, and had no other meaning. Lin Yu is 19 years old, and he is over 70. It seems normal to call Lin Yu little friend. However, Angelia, who was standing next to Lin Yu, was unhappy. Although she didn't speak, her beautiful cheeks instantly turned cold, and her golden eyes revealed murderous intent. In Angelia's opinion, the Lord of Holy Light of their angelic clan existed when the universe was still in chaos. Even this universe was created, opened up, by their Lord of Holy Light. The person of the Lord of Holy Light is older than any living being in the universe. How old is the universe? The great Lord of Holy Light has experienced so many years. Not to mention a saint-level professional in the mortal world. Even the Titan God who created the Titan God system and the Dragon God system would not dare to call their Lord of Holy Light little friend. Here, Lin Yu quickly took secretary and soft little hand. He sensed Angelia's anger and murderous intent that was about to burst out. If it is not stopped, the whole street will have no chance of living. In general, Secretary and will not be angry. But whenever she gets angry, Victoria has to be beaten violently. If there is anyone else in this world who can stop Angelia, it is probably Lin Yu. She listened to whatever Lin Yu said, always well-behaved and docile. Therefore, when Lin Yu held Angelia's little hand, the anger in Angelia's heart suddenly subsided. As quickly as it comes, it goes as quickly as it comes. Seeing General Li and others whose expressions changed greatly, Lin Yu immediately smiled and said, "General Li, You can call him whatever you want. I don't mind. General Li and others were speechless. Lin Yu doesn't mind, but his angel does.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.